Hi everyone, welcome to Lisa's Stamp Studio. My card today is featuring the So Hoppy Together stamp set from the Celebration catalog. It is adorable, but I'm pairing it with the Balloon Bouquet Punch to create a birthday card. And wait until you see the inside on how we've used a play on words. If you're here visiting from YouTube, you'll find a link down in the video description below, which will navigate you over to the pictures, cutting dimensions, and supplies for today's project. Let's head over to the stamp table and let's get started. Now you can see the detail on this card a little bit better. I've cut away a little bit of the top layer here of this card to reveal the inside. I've actually used another greeting from another stamp set to play up the words to make this appropriate for birthday. I've got a piece of Whisper White cardstock here. I folded it in half just before you joined me, and all I did was I cut off a 1/2 inch on the top layer of the card base. I'm using a piece of Brights Designer Series paper. This is from an assorted pack. Lots of fun colors in there. I've cut this at 3/4 of an inch wide, simply because I want it to be a little bit wider than the area that I've cut away here. I'm going to bring in my silicone craft sheet. This will help keep my work surface sticky free. I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to add some adhesive to the back. Whenever I'm using these narrow pieces of designer paper or cardstock, this silicone craft sheet saves me a lot of frustration of trying to avoid to get adhesive here on my work surface. And then, you're always fighting that sticky spot. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn this. I'm going to lay this on top of here so you can see a little bit better. I like to turn my card horizontally. And you're also going to notice that I cut this designer series paper longer than what I need. This package of paper comes in a 6x6, so all I did was keep the length. The other great thing about that, and here's a perfect tip for you, is you're able to make sure that it's exactly cut to size by trimming it from the back half. Now I know I have some adhesive here, and I keep a pair of scissors in my stamp room that are dedicated strictly to sticky projects. So these are my sticky scissors. And from the back end, I'm going to use that white card base as a guide to cut away any excess. I don't know about you, but whenever I cut a small layer like this, sometimes I can be a 32nd of an inch off, and then it would show at the top and the bottom. This way, by trimming away the excess that I don't need, I'm assured that it's going to fit properly. The frog is from the So Hoppy Together stamp set. These little images just make me smile. There's also some greetings in here that go along very well with them. And if you're not aware, this stamp set now has coordinating framelits during this special for March 2019. From March 1st through the end of March, only while supplies last, you can buy the coordinating framelits for any of these celebration products. There are also 2 different products here at the bottom that are not part of the celebration offerings. So if you choose to buy any of these items or other catalog products, then you can redeem the So Hoppy stamp set absolutely free during Stampin' Up's largest sale of the year. There are free items to choose from with a minimum $50 order. I'm going to be using my Memento ink pad, and I have mounted that little frog. We'll go ahead and we'll ink him up. And I'm going to stamp him down in the lower right corner, and then I'll press. I'm going to be using the Granny Apple Green ink pad. Since we'll be doing some watercoloring, I don't find that the new ink pad style is as flexible to get ink in the lid. So I'm going to grab a small clear block and I'm going to lightly tap, and I'm going to pick up a little bit of color on here. You don't need a whole lot. That little bit of concentrated color will go a very long way. And I've got my aqua painter here. Now these come in a 2-pack. You unscrew it and you fill it with tap water. And this eliminates the need of dipping a paintbrush into a cup of water and of course leaving stray water all over. Absolutely love this tool. I like to give it a pinch before I get started to make sure that it's not soaking wet so that I can control the ink. I'm going to open up my card base so it's nice and flat. And I'm going to pick a little bit of color up from here from the block. You're also going to see me going over here to an empty side to kind of thin it down a little bit. I want to make sure that I can control the coverage. And then all I'm going to do is just dab on color into my frog. Now this is supposed to be a very fun, whimsical image. There's no reason for you to have to stroke the color on, especially for those of you that are not comfortable watercoloring. By dabbing the color on, not only are you able to control it, but you're able to provide a little bit of texture because you're going to have some lighter and some darker areas. Now I'll go ahead and I'll fill in the rest of this frog. I like to wait a little bit to make sure that the center on here is dry a little bit more. And then once it is, I can come back and I can add more color in there so I can create some more depth. Because I want his belly to be a little bit darker than the rest of his body. Now that looks good. Now just off camera, I have my Stampin' Scrub, so I'm going to squeeze this. Then water is going to run through the bristles, which is going to rinse it out. Go ahead and pinch the tip again, and I'm going to switch now over to Smoky Slate. I want to add a little bit of color or shadow underneath his feet so it doesn't look like he's just floating. And I'll do the exact same thing with another clear block. Of course, you can clean off the block that you just used. I'm going to pick up a little bit of that gray as well, and I want to make sure that I have that pretty watered down. I don't want it too dark. And then I'll just add a little bit of color underneath his feet. Before I put it away, I'm going to rinse it out again, and then I'm going to pinch the tip because I want to make sure all the bristles are nice and to a point, and then I'll cap it. There's nothing worse than going back to an aqua painter you've previously used that's not clean, and then you risk transferring this color to another project. I want to add a little sparkle and definition to those glasses, so I'm pulling out my Clear Wink of Stella pen. I'll set that aside, and I'm going to bring in my Balloon Bouquet Punch, and I've got 3 pieces of scrap cardstock here: Daffodil Delight, Real Red, and Pacific Point. And I'm going to punch out the smaller balloons here. You can see that it does punch 2 balloons at once if that's what you choose, but I'm going to go for the smaller images just so they'll be more proportional in size to my frog. And then the daffodil. Back here at the card base, I am going to adhere the Pacific Point. So I'm going to bring my silicone craft sheet in once again. Now I'm going to flip that over, and I'm going to add a little adhesive to the back side. And I'll put one of my balloons up here, and then I'll take the same with the daffodil, and I'll adhere that as well. And this time I'm going to put this one off to the side. And then finally I have the Real Red, and this is where I'm going to add my dimensionals just for a little extra depth. So I'm going to take a couple of those, and I'll place those here on the back, and then remove those paper backings. That image will go right here in the center. I'm going to use my white chalk marker to add a little bit of detailed lines to my balloon. And I like to make sure that I got this started before I start drawing with it. So with my scrap cardstock that's dark, I can make sure that it's flowing well. And I'm going to work with a small line and a dot here, and then one here, and then I'll add one other here at the top. Now I'm going to draw in the strings for my balloon. Now you can use your basic black marker if you'd like, but I wanted to showcase these. These are the journaling pens. Now you do get 2 in the package, and if you notice, there'll be one with an 0.5 point, and this one has an 0.1 point. That just identifies the thickness of the tip. So I'm going to choose the 0.1 because it's a lot thinner, and I'm going to make sure that that's flowing well here in my scrap cardstock as well. And then what I'm going to do is just going to mimic where I feel like those lines are going to come, and I'm going to put them right in his hands. You don't have to be an artist for this. Just squiggle up the lines. And then what I'm also going to do is add small lines here with a small bow right on top of my balloon. If you'd like, you can add another small bow here inside his hands just to make it look like he's holding them. Now we're going to work on the inside. Put my silicone craft sheet here to hold the card flat so you can see a little bit better. I'm using the Pacific Point ink, which coordinates with that designer series paper that we've used here. And I've mounted the words Hoppy for you. So I'm going to go ahead and ink those up, and I'll stamp those here near the top. That 1/2 inch of white cardstock that I cut off the front, I've saved. And then I've got the word birthday. Now I've taken this word from one of my very favorite greeting stamp sets. It's called Thoughtful Banners. I love that you can build your own custom phrases, and I find that I can use these individual words with other stamp sets. So I'm going to ink that up in the Pacific Point as well, and I'll stamp the word birthday here. I'm going to take my scissors, and I'm just going to simply cut around here. There's nothing fussy about this. Just cut right around that word. And then with my silicone craft sheet, because any extra adhesive is going to fall on here and not on my work surface or my card, I'm just going to add a little bit of adhesive to the back. And now what I can do is I can go ahead and cover up the for you and make it birthday. Isn't that cute? Use your stamp sets interchangeably. You can create custom phrases by markering in any single word or cutting out a word and pasting it over another image. So there we go. We've got a very simple and cute birthday card. Here's the one we created together today, and the one I created before you joined me. If you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and you're interested in receiving complimentary copies of the current annual catalog, just leave me a comment below. I'll be happy to send those to you. And of course, I'll include the current sale brochures that are good through the end of March 2019. If you have enjoyed today's video, please click the like button here on YouTube. It makes YouTube and I both very happy. And while you're here, if you haven't already done so, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Click that bell icon next to the subscribe button, and you'll receive notifications of when I'm live here on YouTube, as well as when I upload a new video. Thanks for joining me. I look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great day.